Hello everybody, welcome to my Xyris, the Withering Storm EDH deck. So, when I saw this deck, I kind of thought of making it two different ways, either a wheel deck or a group hug deck. So I decided to kind of do a little bit in between and do a couple of group hug cards and a couple of wheel cards. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get started. So, Xyris the Withering Storm is a 5-mana commander, which is a 3/5 legendary snake leviathan. So it costs 2 and Teamer. So he's flying, and whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. And then whenever Xyris the Withering Storm deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. So this card is very good, and I kind of like the idea of it because you can make a bunch of snakes and then just try and kill them, and you can also try and politic with people a little bit because you both draw cards, and it's really good. So the first 3 cards are all wheels. So Jace's Archivist, you can pay a blue into it and tap it to Windfall. And then Magus of the Wheel is a 3-mana 3/3, where you can pay 1 and a red to tap it and sacrifice it. And each player discards the hand and draws 7 cards. And then there's actual Windfall, which is so say everybody has say one person has 7 cards in their hand and everybody else has 3 cards in their hand, then everyone would dump their hand and draw 7 cards. Because yeah, that's how Windfall works. So the next 3 cards are all wheels again. So Reforge the Soul is a wheel for 5, but you can Miracle it for 2. Echo of Eons is a 6-mana sorcery, which is a wheel, but it has flashback for 3. Molten Psyche, which is a 3-mana sorcery. Each player shuffles the cards from his or her hand into her library, then draws that many cards. And then it also has a Metalcraft ability. So if you control 3 or more artifacts, then it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards that player's drawn this turn. So you can actually deal a lot of damage to them if you've drawn 2 wheels that turn. So it's super good. So the next 3 cards are all wheels, and so for the first one is Gameplan, which is 6 mana. It's 5 and a blue, but it has assist, so other people can help pay for it. And then each player wheels, and then you exile Gameplan. And then Time Spiral is a 6-mana sorcery, which is, so you remove it from the game, and then each player shuffles his or her graveyard and hand into his library, then draws 7 cards, and then you untap 6 lands. Days Undoing is a 3-mana wheel, and then it ends your turn right after that. So the next 3 cards are also wheels. So Time Reversal, 5-mana wheel. And then you exile Time Reversal. Winds of Change is a 1-mana each player sorcery, which reads each player counts the cards in his or her hand, then shuffles those cards into his or her deck. And then that player draws that many cards. Each player then draws that many cards. So this is kind of like Windfall, but it's just each person has like their own mini version of it. So like, say you have 3 cards, then you discard your hand and draw 3 cards, and then etc. etc. Wheel of Fate is a 0-mana sorcery, but it has Suspend for 2, and then it has Suspend for 2, but it's Suspend 4. And then each player discards his or her hand and then draws 7 cards. Wheel of Fortune is a 3-mana wheel. Mind's Aglow is 1 mana. And then, starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana, and then each player draws X cards, where X is the total of mana paid this way. So this can make everybody draw a lot of cards, and a lot of people will pay mana into it if they need a lot of cards still. Yeah, so it's really good. And then Prosperity is a 1 blue and X, and then each player draws X cards. It is a sorcery. Biomat, so the next cards are all cards that can kind of help finish the game with the snakes after you've drawn all the cards. So Biomass Mutation is 2 hybrid Simic mana and X, and then it's an instant. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX until end of turn. So you can, so if you have a lot of mana, you can just pay that into it and make all your creatures very big and hopefully swing in for a victory. So Shared Animosity is 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. So since all of the things that all the creatures that Xyris is making are all the same creature type, they all get very big. The next card is Craterhoof Behemoth, 5/5 with haste for 8. And then when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So the next one is Finale of Devastation, which is X green for a sorcery. And then, so you search your library and or graveyard for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less and put it onto the battlefield. And so if you search your library, and so if X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X/+X and haste until end of turn. So ideally, that's what you want to do. So if you can get like a Craterhoof Behemoth out of the finale, but if you make X 10 or more, so of course you need a lot of mana for this, but that would for sure end a game. Coat of Arms. So this is 5 mana. And so, to put it in simpler terms, say you have 5 snakes, then each snake would get +5/+5. So it just duplicates how big they are, depending on how many creatures of that type you have. So this card can get a little bit crazy if someone say is playing a Krenko deck. So that's actually why you want to be careful, because this is a world effect. It doesn't just affect you. So that is for sure something to look out for. Overwhelming Stampede is a 5 mana sorcery where until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So yet again, your snakes will get very big, and it is a very good card. So you have now we have Eldrazi Monument, which is 5 mana for an artifact. Creatures you control again get +1/+1 and have flying and indestructible. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature if you can't sacrifice Eldrazi Monument. So of course, you will be getting several snakes each turn, and you'll have more than enough to save all your snakes. So Triumph of the Hordes, this will for sure end a game. So it's 4 mana sorcery. Until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and infect. So if you don't want to play infect, that's totally fine. But I thought that it was kind of a funny card, because if you're a little bit behind, then you can just kind of take someone out of nowhere, and I think that's very funny. Return of the Wild Speaker is a 5 mana instant, and you choose one. So either draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. So now we have Warstorm Surge, which is 6 mana for an enchantment, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Perforos, God of the Forge, is a 4 mana 6/5 god legendary enchantment creature with indestructible, and as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Perforos is not a creature. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to each opponent, and then you can pay 3 in each, and creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So he will for sure end a game if near the end of the game, if everybody's already pretty low on health, that would for sure do the trick. Impact Tremors is a 2 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters under your control, deal 1 damage to each opponent. So the Locust God is a 6 mana 4/4. Whenever you draw a card with flying, and whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue-red insect creature with flying and haste. And then you can pay 4 in loot. And just draw a card and discard a card. And then when he dies, return it to his hand at the beginning of the next end step. So Niv-Mizzet Perun is a 6 mana, so 3 red and 3 blue. Legendary Dragon Wizard, which is a 5/5 and cannot be countered. He's flying, and whenever you draw a card, he deals 1 damage to any target, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. So I actually did not put the infinite combo in here, because I didn't really want to win with a combo kill, because it seemed like a very fun deck to make. I think that really just the Niv Mizzet deck should have the combo in it, but that's just my opinion. If you want to add it, that's completely fine by me. So he's just very good, because if you do a wheel, then of course you're drawing a lot of cards and dealing a lot of damage. Niv Mizzet the Firemind is 6 mana, 2 blue, 2 red, and 2, for a 4/4 flying legendary dragon wizard, and whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target, and then you can tap it to draw a card. Second Harvest. It's an instant where you just double your tokens, and then Doubling Season is a 5 mana enchantment, and then if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens instead. And then so the next ability doesn't really matter, according to my deck list that I made, if an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many counters instead. Parallel Lives, which is 4 mana for an enchantment, and if an effect would put 1 or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice of those tokens instead. So it's like the first ability of Doubling Season. So Horn of Greed is 3 mana for an artifact. Whenever a player plays a land, that player draws a card. And then Anvil of Borgodon, which is a 2 mana artifact. Each player skips his or her discard phase, and then during each player's draw phase, that player draws an additional card and then discards a card of their choice. So the Font of Mythos is a 4 mana artifact. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws 2 additional cards. So Otherworld Atlas is a 4 mana artifact, so you can either tap it to put a charge counter on it, or tap each player draw card equal to how many charge counters are on it. Folio of Fancies is a 2 mana artifact, and then players have no maximum hand size, and you can pay XX and tap it for each player to draw X cards, and then 3 mana to tap it. Each opponent puts a number of cards equal to the number of cards in their hand from the top of their library into the graveyard. So that ability doesn't really help unless you loot it a lot and everybody's decks are looking very thin. Temple Bell is a 3 mana artifact. You tap it for each player to draw a card. So Worldly Tutor is just a 1 mana instant. Search your library for a creature, reveal it, put it into your hand, put it on top of your library, and then shuffle your deck, but with it on top still. Court of Calling is 3 mana and X. It's an instant with Convoke, and then search your deck for a creature card with convert mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. So these are both like Lapman abilities, and the Lapman. So Jace's other abilities are, so his +1 is target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard, then draw a card. And his -8 is draw 7 cards, then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. So Blasphemous Act and Cyclonic Rift. So those are both of the board wipes in this deck. I didn't want to put too many in just because they're the creatures that you are creating are tokens, and that makes them very easy to kill. So I didn't think that we needed too many. So Sashiro the Anointed is a 6 mana 3/4 legendary snake. Other snakes you control get +2/+2, and whenever a snake deals combat damage to a player, snake you control, you may draw a card. And then Edric, Spymaster of Trust, which is a 3 mana 2/2, where whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its control may draw a card. And then Ogre Battle Driver, which is a 4 mana 3/3, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, that creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So I thought these were all just kind of fun cards, and then, so that's why I put them in. So Mana Echoes, 4 mana. Whenever a creature comes into play, add 1 mana for each creature that you control that shares a creature type with it. Underworld Breach, 2 mana, so enchantment. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape equal to its mana cost, and then but you also have to exile an additional 3 cards, and then at the beginning of your end step, sacrifice it. And then Force Fruition is a 6 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player draws 7 cards. So I thought that would be kind of fun to try and mill them out. So that actually brings us to the end of the episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video so much. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Okay, bye.